We've all done a lot of multitasking while on Zoom, but this one is really over the top. A California plastic surgeon is now being investigated for attending a court hearing while he was in the operating room. It's hard to even imagine this. I mean, what do you make of this?
Yeah, I think that it was just poor judgment. I think there's two issues here. Like, number one, like how the media spins it, and it almost made sound like he was putting the patient in danger and jeopardy when actually he had a qualified person finishing up the case. The lack in judgment was actually doing this in the operating room.
Yeah, I
Wouldn't
agree.
you say?
Yeah, and it just was unnecessary. That's what surprised me the most. Step outside the operating room. Go to your office. Again, he had a fellow or another physician in the room who was perfectly capable of taking care of the patient, so don't do it in the operating room. Obviously, the most important thing is the patient was safe, and clearly the patient was safe, but how the media perceives it and how the nation-wide perceives this, not only doctors in general, but specifically with plastic surgeons, right? I mean, we have a hard enough time trying to convince people that we actually do good in this world, and this didn't really help our cause very much.
Yeah, and you always hear this, we've heard it through our training, be the patient's advocate, be the patient's advocate. And it's just interesting here that the judge was more the patient's advocate than the physician, right? The judge shut down the hearing when he realized that this was being done in the operating room and could see the patient possibly behind. The judge had more clearer judgment than the physician, and it just does put us all in bad light.
And I don't know about you, but I'm afraid of judges, right? I mean, talk about being afraid of them, but warranting respect. I mean, they're at the top of their pyramid, and it's a kind of a disrespect. I mean, it was a sign of disrespect, and I don't know if it was on purpose or an exercise in power, but there was just, it was unnecessary.
And it may not come to anything because he, in a sense, like legally, because he did have proper consent, this other fellow could finish the case, the patient was not, but it just looked so bad. This is bad. It's going to have maybe not legal consequences on this physician's practice, but obviously, as he said in the reports, he's getting all sorts of bad comments, maybe even death threats and people wanting him to quit. It was just definitely a poor lack in judgment. The other thing I didn't appreciate too much is some of the excuses that he gave. That just, when it comes to something like this, we're all human, we're not perfect. If you make a mistake, just admit you made a mistake, and move on, and don't try to say, oh, I'm not familiar with Zoom and I didn't know they were gonna film, put this on film. There's no excuse.
And
you just shouldn't.
I didn't know that I didn't have enough time.
Right. You just don't do something like that in the operating room. I mean, there's just no excuse for that.
I agree.
It'll take a while to get past those optics.
Yes.
Yes.
And for the very latest, be sure to check out the Plastic Surgery Channel on YouTube and at theplasticsurgerychannel.com.